think we're live. I think we're live. All right, man. We're making ain't no mystery. We making history.
Yo, did you enjoy doing Dracula Daily?
Yes, Guilty Angel is here. What's up? Dracula Daily. Yeah, that was fun.
Do you think that we should continue it this year?
Guilty Angel's going to be multitasking. Well, thank you for joining us and letting us be a part of your tasks. Yeah. Angela is talking about. Jacqueline is here. What's up, Jacqueline? We have wow, we got a lot to talk about today. What's going on?
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
Good to see you. Very, very good to see you. And what was I about to say? I was about to say something absolutely pivotal.
I was just talking about Dracula Daily to open us up.
Oh, Angela was talking about Dracula Daily, which is this? I guess it's a newsletter. It's like it's a what do they call those? It's like a
newsletter.
Yeah, but isn't it like a specific?
Oh, it's a serial.
No,
a serial.
Isn't it on a platform? I'm trying to.
Oh, Substack maybe.
Substack. That's correct. It's a Substack.
You guys can probably hear a little dog losing his mind in his bed.
Yeah.
He's doing those cute little laughy breaths.
Yeah, he's really excited.
He's partying.
Tanner's here. What's up? Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, amazing news today. Crazy news today. We're stoked. You know, I'll tell you, I can't wait we're just going to wait till people show up. While we're waiting for people to show up, I have devastating news. In the music world, we lost somebody huge today.
Oh, no.
He's old, but he was beloved in every possible way. But Sly, from Sly and the Family Stone died.
Oh, no.
82. Angela, I knew Angela didn't know, and Angela is extremely fond of Sly.
I was listening to those records on repeat all through high school.
Yeah.
That music was really formative years soundtrack. He was an incredible genius. Okay, here's what people don't know about Sly and the Family Stone. There's some records that have been sort of way gone under the radar, and I'm just going to help people understand where to find the good stuff.
Yeah.
Because a lot of his more commercial stuff that people are always doing the tribute concerts.
It's true.
Stuff.
He had some rough times musically. You mean later?
Really?
I thought later he had some tough stuff. His early stuff is absolutely earth-shattering, amazing.
The stuff that was really commercial, like Family Affair and stuff. It's very specific to a genre.
Yes.
And I don't think it has a lot of crossover potential.
Oh, I wish we could play some of the stuff that you introduced me to.
Yeah, there's some records that are no skips. Amazing records.
Yeah.
One of them you guys should play is Small Talk. Some of the songs are weird, but
it's an amazing album. We have the vinyl.
Amazing. Small Talk.
Don't we have the vinyl?
Yes. Small Talk was 1974. Peak Sly and the Family Stone era.
Yeah.
It's also sampled by the Beastie Boys too. And then Fresh is another good one.
Anyway, you guys got to check out Sly.
What do you mean anyway?
I'm not anywaying. I'm Delicate just showed up with, "Let's fucking go." That's so great. I'm thrilled. I really am. I can't wait to explain it though a little more thoroughly than just being thrilled about something that is ultimately not related to me at all in any way.
Man. Sorry, I'm not over the news.
I just dropped a heavy on Angela because Angela is a big fan of.
That's okay. We're good. We can talk about the news of the day. It was a very exciting day for Miss Blake Lively, and Ryan Reynolds, and Leslie Sloan, and the New York Times.
Amazing, and look, I'm not, I don't want to play so. To be sure, I just want to be clear about this. Judge Lyman today dismissed the $400 million fiasco of a lawsuit, and he cited that it was basically a meritless website, so meritless that an amendment would be futile, that any amendment to this travesty
you said
of
website. You meant lawsuit.
Did I say website?
Yeah.
Lawsuit. Well, because it was a website. That's what it was. It wasn't a fucking lawsuit. It was a fucking website.
That's true.
He made a website. He didn't file a legitimate lawsuit in any court in this land.
Did you see Dapple Gray Manners with us?
Yeah.
It says all caps, vindication.
Vindication,
the
man.
Party hats.
Listen, it is... Yeah, Dale, without a beanie, Alyssa. I wanted to show off my very attractive male pattern baldness. No, I just buzzed my head. I usually wear beanies when it's either like really like too cool, or I'm having bad hair days. And bad hair days to me are just like it looks like something you put on in Animal Crossing.
What?
You know, like when your little characters, your little Nintendo Wii's and Mii's or whatever they're called.
Uh-huh.
This fucking case is over.
Okay, but I still don't understand what you mean.
Jenna's talking about my haircut. It doesn't matter. It's over. And Justin Baldoni lost in a massive... Obviously, it's not over. They're still going to go to trial. If there was any thought that Blake Lively was going to settle this case, I think that's that's done. Why would she? Why would she settle this case? Why would you? You're halfway there. You're already halfway there in terms of winning it and completely vindicating yourself. And Angela immediately, by the way, started poking around. She started looking at like some of the what's the journalist's name or so-called journalist's name?
I didn't realize I'm pronouncing her name right. I've been calling her Kirsty Flaw. That's not her name. That's not how it's pronounced.
Oh, okay.
So it's insensitive of me.
Well,
I still don't know how it's pronounced because she said it and I was like, wait. I got it wrong, but I don't know how to get it right.
The journalist who accused Blake Lively of bullying her during an interview.
Yeah, I went directly to her channel to see what she was posting, and I recommend it. She said that it's very sad news.
It's sad news.
Very sad, and I love that for her.
Called it sad
because she's
news.
been shamelessly attacking her for so long.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. I mean, maybe she's sad because her meal ticket is going to go away. I don't know what she's going to cover since this case does not exist anymore.
Yep.
But there are some paths for Baldoni in the future, right? With this case.
Well, he still has his, interference, with his prospective economic advantage. This is this is like the crux of these kinds of disputes is that, you say, hey, we got into a fight, you took it too far, and when you took it too far, you cost me reputation and money.
He also has a breach of contract claim that the judge is keeping alive because obviously that if it's
he's allowing them to amend that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If it's a valid claim, he should be able to prove that with contracts.
That means it could still get dismissed.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, this is always the case, but it could still get dismissed before.
They could not amend it. They could choose not to amend it because they're worried that it's just a waste of time. Another thing is that
it's dead. Delicate's asking if it was dismissed without or with prejudice, and it is with prejudice. It is not coming back.
The judge won't be allowing an amendment of most of his claims.
Yeah,
but two or four, whatever. There's only a few remaining. And those they have leave to amend. They have a deadline of 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And they can amend those, and it's a breach of contract claim, and also that her and Ryan Reynolds interfered with their prospective economic advantage.
As far as those, all the counts dismissed. As far as all of those, they're gone.
The whole case was dismissed.
What I mean by that,
they get to amend those.
Yes. What I mean by they're gone is there's no remedy for them. It's over. Now, could he file another lawsuit in another court in another jurisdiction, like California, for example? Probably, yeah, he could. Will he? Obviously not.
How much do you want to bet Brian Friedman is suggesting it?
Well, I'll tell you, that's the interesting thing, because what Judge Lyman did was he cut off at a massive amount of that income, because they're still defending against Lively, but they don't have whatever it was, 4 plaintiffs that they were going after or whatever it was, all gone.
But he still can fight her lawsuit, and so there's potential that he could win that one, which
Well, there's no winning for him. There's no.
Yeah, there is. If he prevails as the defendant.
Right. The only way he can prevail is for them to not find for her.
Yeah.
He can't win.
Right.
Anything.
There's no damages.
There's no damages.
Right.
His countersuit has been thrown out. with prejudice. It's over. It's done. It's a wrap. Which, by the way, the Karen Reed trial also asked for another mistrial today in a really interesting, I think, huge door that's opens for them for appeals if something goes wrong there. But we'll get back to that later.
People were comparing what happened in the Karen Reed trial today to what happened that resulted in a mistrial in Alec Baldwin's case.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, they were. Who? Specifically. Well, okay, tell me more.
The prosecutor in Karen Reed's trial asked an expert witness if those holes on the back of John O'Keefe's shirt could have been caused by him hitting the road.
Right. I thought we should get into it later just because we were in that. But that's okay. We can go Karen Reed now.
You mentioned it.
I know. I know. Open the door. That's why I said we'll get back to it later.
The reason why it's cause for a mistrial is because the jury heard that, and the jury doesn't know yet, but the prosecution and the defense does know that that attorney knows exactly how those holes were created. They have been working with the same evidence for several years in a previous trial and in this trial. And he just misled the jury into thinking that the holes in the back of John O'Keefe's shirt could have been caused by the accident, when they were actually caused by the criminologists in the laboratory that were sampling the shirt for testing. Yeah. And he knew that. And so that's why they were saying that it was a mistrial for the misconduct. And then the judge tried to just tell the jury oh yeah, forget about what he said. But it's not good enough. So they're doing a motion today to try and get the jury instructions to be more clear.
It was a very sticky situation. You know what? Let's just finish off these little things because we're going to be on probably the Baldoni situation as well. But Jared Leto was also accused by 9 women. 9 women have come forward. We don't have to really get into the specifics of what he was accused of, but
I bet that means he's going to gain a whole lot of more fans, right? Because they don't have Baldoni to cover anymore. All these people who think that Me Too accusers are fake can cover Jared Leto.
I just hope they all go down. I hope the whole fucking lot of them fall. So back to Baldoni and Blake Lively. The finality of it is absolute. Baldoni he's completely fucked. This is they don't even know his side, the team Baldoni, which I want to be clear about this again because it always bothers me to be labeled as some kind of supporter of Blake Lively because I'm not. I'm in terms of her person, I don't know her at all. Whatever. I'm just saying what I saw going down in this lawsuit was a joke. It was laughably, it was just bullshit.
It was a smear campaign.
It was a smear campaign. Yeah. And I spotted it as soon as it happened, especially because they were bringing up mostly just absolutely futile, bullshit problems that don't matter enough to create a feud that would rip a movie apart. Do you know what I mean?
A movie that they continue to own and profited off of.
Exactly.
It never got ripped apart. Anyway.
Cosmic Urgency is saying Jared Leto is innocent until proven guilty. Yeah, well, he is. I don't know that there is anything criminal
have known
pending.
That his conduct is real suspicious for 10 years already. Did you know that he has an island that he's like a cult leader on an island that he has all of his fans come and do their own little Jared Leto con?
Bad news, man.
And where he wears white linens and
I bet he
they
thought
follow him around everywhere. He has a lot of people have come forward saying that he preys on his teenage fans. A lot of people. Well,
9 women have come forward.
9?
9 women.
Is that what it is?
9. And that number is going to rise, but it's 9 right now. And Cosmic Urgency is correct in saying that suspicion isn't guilt, but 9 accusations is troubling, at least. Is it not? And by the way, I believe the victims, in terms of, I'm talking about. Remember that innocent until proven guilty is a legal, status. We can see, we can see before someone's found guilty of crimes. We can see crimes that have committed. Now we haven't in this case or even any other.
What's the headline? Jared Leto's been charged.
He's accused. No, accused. I believe that he's being litigated against, but I haven't read all the articles on him.
Is he accused by people or like
by women? Yeah.
His victims, or is he being accused by like a prosecutor?
9 women have come forward, and I think it's a lawsuit. I haven't gotten into it too deeply yet.
Okay.
Because it's just like, we're covering so much, and anyway, so we'll see what happens with Mr. Alito, but he is definitely, obviously, in a bad spot right now, and he has 9 people at least leering down on him. You know what bothers me about the innocent until proven guilty problem? And I do think it's a bit of a problem. I understand it's a necessary evil in a way, and I call it evil because it creates room for people to wiggle away. It just creates doubt where there shouldn't be. In some cases, do you know what I mean? Because it's just like this idea of, but they pulled the shit with Danny Masterson. It's the same shit. People were like, gotta hear it out.
I like the whole innocent until proven guilty thing for sure. It's definitely
it's absolutely necessary,
super necessary.
But I'm talking about like in terms of what you do.
It is a legal issue. Like the rest of us online, we don't have to say that. We're all just like talking shit about how these people are probably predators.
I felt fairly confident that the people accusing Danny Masterson were accusing Danny Masterson credibly. And that's what we're talking about. It's not really whether one person is innocent or guilty. In any situation, it's a matter of whether or not the accusations are credible.
Yeah, I'm not responsible for whether he's labeled guilty or not. That's the court's business. What I'm saying is that he's a creep. And he's been preying on his fans for however long.
And the other thing we know is that in the American justice system, people who are innocent are convicted, and people who are guilty are acquitted. We know this; it happens time and again in this system. So the whole idea that guilt is somehow determined at all by a court is there's a gray area there. And we know that gray area exists because I, once again, was very publicly supportive of O.J. Simpson's acquittal because I felt like you can't convict somebody based on the prosecution's case. The case, and obviously, I think I shared that sentiment with the jurors, who so. And it was like there was a whole series of bad luck that went with it, so it wasn't all on the prosecutors. But the bottom line is that a dude who did it got away, and most people would agree that he got away with it because the trial went badly for the prosecutors. So anyway, guilt is
it's true.
It's a complicated thing.
The system doesn't work as well as it's envisioned to because cops are liars. And the state has too much power, so we're never really going to achieve the whole like innocent or guilty determines your fate,
Yeah, and I'm not playing when it comes to innocent until proven guilty. If you're a juror, if you're a lawyer, if you're in the system, you have to approach legally innocent until proven guilty. The burden has to be.
But my point is that
on the accuser, yeah.
Us just talking shit, like I'm not gonna what I say isn't gonna result in somebody being thrown in jail. What I say isn't gonna result in somebody who's guilty going free. Like what I'm saying is
we're not gonna taint a jury either.
So innocent until proven guilty doesn't matter to me when I'm saying that I feel like Jared Leto being a creep is an open secret, and I hope that the people who he's harmed find some sort of justice through this process.
Yeah, they're certainly going to find at least, we're getting corrected by Cosmic Urgency, which is you suspect he's been praying. Yeah, there's substantial circumstantial evidence.
That's true. Yeah, I suspect. Yeah,
that's correct.
I've read people's stories where they talk about how personal friends of theirs or themselves have been preyed on by him. Groomed, like, inappropriate messages, like, some people are alleging assaults. Like, it's bad news out there for him if he actually is wrongfully accused, but it's a big pile.
Yeah, the odds, this is one of the problems I have with the way things work, is one victim is a lonely place to be. If you're the single victim of somebody, especially if you're a woman, but it's almost true like through and through. If you're just the single victim, good luck getting believed. Good luck. Like now you've got to be a multiple offender to get caught. It really is like that. You have to become a multiple offender. And like, we're sitting here, and it's okay that we're having this discussion because I think it's a good and healthy discussion. Jared Leto is now accused by 9 women. So the expectation is we're supposed to assume that 9 women have come forward potentially with false allegations because he's not guilty until proven guilty, or do we at some point grab onto reality and go like, holy shit? Maybe because it already sucks when you have one victim who has to sort of scream from treetops and nobody wants to listen because, wow, how could one victim be credible unless obviously it's egregious, right? Unless it's caught on camera. But if it's not something like caught on camera, if you're in a situation where it's a he said, she said, that she said, if you're alone, standing alone in your accusations, good luck. It's why they stay quiet.
How many times have we watched those like true crime shows about people who murder their spouses? Which is, funny that we do that as a couple, but
yeah, we do.
And they're like, oh, but this isn't the only time that his spouse had that a spouse of this guy or this woman had a untimely death, and then they have to go through the case of their exes or their previous marriages to see whether they're responsible for that one too. So yeah, sometimes the first victim isn't even known to be a victim at all.
My ex used to watch Oprah, and I happened to be in the room when she had a double life episode, and I got glued.
Of course.
I got sucked into that shit, bro. I was like, I had my little man cave in the basement where I went and done my stuff, and then she was up in the family room where she would watch Oprah, and I came up, fridge, whatever, get something, and I just got hooked into this episode because it was all these dudes who had literal families, like literal fucking families that nobody else knew about.
Oh my God.
They're literally going like,
wait, so how were they found out?
They were like, almost all the times it was because when they died. Oh my God. Yeah.
Where there's funeral arrangements and there's
I remember distinctly one woman saying his emails were sitting open, after he passed. And he had a computer that was just always running. And so she went to go and she wiggled the mouse and the emails were up. And then she's like, where the fuck are your emails? Why aren't you responding? What the fuck is going on? She's like, what the hell's going on? Clicks on it. And this guy had this woman with several children that she did not know about.
What?
Yes.
Can you imagine?
Oh man.
Why would somebody do that? Can you imagine having that much of a complicated life?
Holy shit, bro. I can't manage my utility fucking bills. I can't manage my fucking, you know what I'm saying? No way. Oh my God.
I hope the camera.
We get more than one dog in here and I'm like, oh Jesus Christ.
I hope that the audio picked up that cute little sneeze.
That was a good little.
That was a good little zipper. Hey, come here. You're wandering around.
So funny.
What's this?
So it's weird being in this situation where I feel good about what went on today for Justin Baldoni. I feel good about it because for me it's a sample of sanity in a world that to me perceptively just feels like it's gone nuts completely. I remember when I thought that people would react wildly to me saying, can you believe that an American movie has been banned by an actor in the United States? And that is the smallest of offenses in a world that is just unraveling, at an alarming rate. And then all of a sudden, and we've seen this, we've talked about this case for endless hours since it was filed on TikTok, and now we're on these two platforms. But we talked about how this case was a sham, how this case was a joke, how even as laymen, we can spot that this guy is doing a publicity stunt and not actually filing a lawsuit.
Aren't you so glad that we didn't do a deep dive recording of the Baldoni's evidence, since the whole case has ceased to exist? What a waste of time that would have been.
Yeah, well, we did. We just didn't do it on TikTok or YouTube or whatever.
We did, yeah, to learn about it ourselves. But I was gonna go back and record it all, and I'm so glad that we didn't. I wanted to wait until the motions to dismiss were ruled on. How amazing! I don't think anybody suspected that.
Dr. Susan, poof, the whole case.
Yeah.
Poof.
I don't think anybody suspected that every single motion to dismiss would be dismissed.
Here's my question. I didn't think that I didn't think Blake Lively was going to get. I thought everybody else was gone except Blake Lively.
Even Ryan Reynolds?
For sure.
I thought maybe
I stood on that. If you recall, I was talking about, well, if Ryan Reynolds is guilty of something, then so is every writer on SNL, et cetera, and so
yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
The Leslie Sloan one too. I think she filed a bunch of motions that really clarified it for the judge too, because she was like, "What was I being accused of?
Honestly,
that I said you need to tell me."
If I was a law professor, it would be Sloan's motion to dismiss that I would teach with, because it was perfectly crafted. It was perfectly crafted. Right. Like I believe it won for everybody, because wildly, everything she said in her dismissal, her motion to dismiss, was true for all the others. It was just true for all the others, because at no fucking point did this guy actually put anything forward that was tangibly that could or would tangibly support what he was accusing people of.
Quote what they said that was so bad. Like, quote the thing. Just say it. And they never did.
It's also a win for journalism today. Like, first of all, like most people.
Right, with the New York Times.
But it's a win for journalism, because, Megan Twohey is a legit journalist. She put together a story that she was reporting on. She didn't create any of these facts. She didn't manufacture anything. Mm-hmm. And as far as a bias goes, she gave them the chance that she would give them, that she would give any person about whom she's writing to respond. But let me tell you, because I've also had the benefit of being interviewed by, big organizational type like writers, right, for Vanity Fair, New York Post, so on and so forth, and They don't like, they'll often take a side in terms of they're not actually taking a side, but they're going to tell a story from one side. In fact, and I tell the story in the book, Stone Phillips, when he was at Dateline, I guess he still is. I don't know how old that guy is, but anyway, because he was old back then. But Stone Phillips, he came to us and said, "We want to tell your story about Don's Plum from your perspective," because that's journalism in many respects, especially when you're telling a story. If your story is thematically about some important, socially important issues, such as Me Too, right, or harassment in the workplace and retaliation and these kinds of things. So they're going. If Megan Twohey, as was the case, if her interest in this story is on the fact that this occurs, right, or has occurred, then she's going to be in that arena when she tells it. And unless the facts change her mind, which in this case they obviously did not, she's going to print the story. Did I go on too long about that?
No. I also think that maybe did Justin Baldoni jinx it when he put out all of these headlines that he was going broke and he was really stressed about the burden of all of these lawsuits?
Oh my God! So much money stopped flowing from his hands to Friedman's. I mean, Friedman's still got
he gets to save money and just focus on the defense.
Here's what we got to watch for now is the firing of Friedman. Watch for the firing of Friedman right now, and this is like the classic billionaire move, because remember, this is a billionaire getting fucking.
Yeah, he can just use another attorney.
What's that guy's name?
Steve Sarowitz.
Angela, when Angela was looking around at at some of the response going on around the internet.
Yeah, it's been entertaining.
One of the so-called Team Baldoni folks out there was talking about how this was like a win for billionaires against little guys. Like this is
that Blake Lively is the billionaire and Justin Baldoni is the little guy.
Yeah, and literally they're backed by way more money than Blake Lively is, like way more.
Yeah.
Like Ryan Reynolds, I don't believe he's a billionaire. Is he a billionaire?
Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah, is he a billionaire?
I don't know. I think maybe.
Now I gotta know. I'm gonna find out. Oh, no. What's his name? Ryan Reynolds. Net worth.
I know he's got a lot of irons in the fire.
$350 million. So he's not a billionaire. And look, I mean, obviously that's a lot of money. It's a ridiculous amount of money, but he's not a billionaire. The guy that backs Justin Baldoni is a legit billionaire. And this is the delusion. So it's interesting because like people are like, whether it's an innocent until proven guilty or, whatever, you want to sort of grab onto in terms of, I guess, whatever reality you want to seek. Well, I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
So the way that I've seen them spin this as a good thing for Justin Baldoni is that he gets to refile, he gets to amend his lawsuit. Okay, so they're like, well,
this is devastating.
He's still in.
It can only be devastating. There is nothing good happening here.
They're also saying that he could win Blake Lively's lawsuit, right? Because he's the defendant.
He cannot win that. He can only defend against it.
That's what they're saying. I'm saying what they're saying is that he still has a chance to prove that she's a liar and that she stole his film from him. Although those are that's gone anyway. Also,
no, that's gone. Nobody's sued for that. Like Blake Lively didn't sue for that. He has to defend against sexual harassment and retaliation and whatever else she accused him of, and that's the scope of this now.
I wonder if she gets to put his allegations as the retaliation, because
I was about to ask. I wonder if the website is now a liability. Like, is the website a liability? Do you remember what the name of the website was? Let's see if it's still up. Do you remember what it was called?
It's lawsuit info.
What was it? Baldoni's.
They spent so much money.
It's so fucking funny. Baldoni lawsuit website. Try that. Yeah, the lawsuit info. Is that it?
Lawsuitinfo.com.
So the question is, amended complaint. Is this now a liability? That's what I want to know. I want to know if this is a fucking liability now. And by that I mean not obviously the necessarily the things within it that got dismissed, but their actions. What a fucking day for Justin Baldoni. I'm blown away by it. And I'm particularly blown away by the reaction to it. Like that people are out there feeling like sadness. A long time ago I said like, don't let their lives ruin your day.
I was thinking about that too, because there's so many horrible things going on in the news now, and then this to like, if you really did believe that Blake Lively was a bad person and that Justin Baldoni is like virtuous and innocent, like this on top of everything else is just got to be devastating, where you're like, oh God. And then that too, like Justin Baldoni, who we believe in so much, has been so wronged by the court today. There is no justice in the world, because can you imagine everything else that's happening in the news, and that it's got to be pretty sad. I feel bad for them.
Do you want to do some comments?
Yes. This is interesting. Thanks for bringing this up. So Friedman is two things about him. He has this current lawsuit where he is representing Twigs against what's his name, Shia LaBeouf. Oh. And so I wonder whether that what happened with Judge Lyman dismissing his case, whether that's going to affect how she feels about her representation.
It is a huge blow to this man's career, I would think, because what he foolishly did was he thrust this thing in front of every eyeball, like, set of eyeballs he could get. Yeah. Look at me. He went out there and shouted into microphones
we're going to obliterate her.
We're going to obliterate them and sue them into, what do you call it? Sue them into whatever. Oblivion, yeah. Yeah. Really ridiculous, horrible, stupid statements that make you look dumb as wood. And then you go ahead and fucking get all of your case thrown out in one swoop. Incredible. Really bad for his bottom line, for sure. I got to let me tell you what. I mean, I don't know. I would have already had so many red flags with this guy. But if I got into it as uneducated as I was when I got into my first lawsuit with DiCaprio, I would have wanted to walk after this result. If you got this kind of result in an adjacent case, I'd be just like, I gotta get the fuck out of this.
Here's another thing that I'm worried. I wonder about with Brian Friedman. So, I thought it was really strange that everybody was filing their motions to dismiss, which is pretty standard.
Yeah.
In like, there's a stage of the lawsuit where all these things come in, but he never filed one. He never filed a motion to dismiss with the allegations against his clients.
Yeah.
It's really weird. And so I wonder whether his clients are sitting there being like, oh, well, it turns out we got a judge who's dismissal happy, right? Like, granted all these motions to dismiss. How come we didn't file one? We could have gotten ours granted too, you know? Right. It seems like a huge mistake that he didn't even try to do that.
This is it. I mean, it's all these moves. Like, it's all these moves. His press tour, the website, failing to file, not knowing California law.
God, I know that's the worst one.
Their statement. You got to read their statement. You got to read their statement because they are coming.
They're coming for him.
They're coming for this mistake he made. They're coming for it. By the way, before you get on, somebody said to me, and this is too funny. We will get to all your comments, even the ones that we have yet to, like, we might have scrolled past somebody, but somebody did just ask. Wait, Dale, not to be rude. Why would it be rude? Unless you're shouting at me and calling me names. But how is this bad for Justin Baldoni?
He filed a lawsuit and it was dismissed by a judge today.
He filed a $400 million lawsuit against a whole slew of.
It's bad.
That's
a failure.
Of defendants and it all got thrown out, and it got thrown out not only with prejudice but with scathing remarks like an amendment would be futile.
Yeah, he doesn't get to make these claims anymore.
I remember when, in our case, Japan, we were about to lose Japan. Japan was being threatened, and we had
the territory that you could sell your film in of Japan.
So we got to Denmark, and we were selling our movie. We had more than $2 million on the table from a Japanese distributor, and then all of a sudden we got a phone call from another Japanese distributor saying we have the rights, and they're only $175,000, and we had to take that case to arbitration, and lawyers are reluctant to tell you that you're going to win the case because they know that anything can happen in a courtroom, including running into obstacles with the judge or whether or not evidence finds its way into the situation that they didn't anticipate or didn't get a hold of before they made their case or understood all the sort of facets of the case. In our case with Japan, our lawyers was like, dude, 75% chance you're going to win. And my eyes popped open because I was like, wow, that's good, because our lawyers were highly conservative about this. Highly conservative about this. This guy's blasting the internet with suing people into oblivion. Mm-hmm. He's made an utter mockery of the process, and he's completely damaged himself as a lawyer, as a litigator, forevermore. I don't know how anybody wouldn't my God, okay, what a disaster.
This answers that question. How is this bad for Justin Baldoni?
Yeah.
Okay, here is Blake Lively's lawyer's statement on the dismissal.
Thank you.
Okay.
Speak loudly enough so YouTube gets it, or so TikTok gets it.
What do you mean?
Go ahead.
I'm not mic'd?
Not into TikTok.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm not going to do that.
Go ahead. No, read, please. They can hear you.
Today's opinion is a total victory and a complete vindication for Blake Lively, along with those that Justin Baldoni and the Wayfarer parties dragged into their retaliatory lawsuit, including Ryan Reynolds, Leslie Sloan, and the New York Times. As we have said from day one, this $400 million lawsuit was a sham, and the court saw right through it. We look forward to the next round, which is seeking attorney's fees, treble damages, and
people,
punitive damages against Baldoni, Sarowitz, Nathan, and the other Wayfarer parties who perpetrated this abusive litigation.
So a California law was passed that held retaliatory or retaliation lawsuits, held the filers of those lawsuits to treble the damages, because they're retaliating against a litigation, particularly a litigation about during the Me Too movement. So sexual assault, right?
That's the thing about you were saying about Brian Friedman. Like he needed to know that he exposed them. That he was exposing his clients to treble damages. Oh my God.
So the thing is you can expect him to get fired, and you can expect Friedman to get fired. Look for it, and by the way, somebody said that they can hear you clearly. So
wonderful, thank you.
By the way, you can check us out on YouTube if you ever.
Are also helpful.
If you guys ever want to see Angela, she's also on YouTube. The link is in my bio. The YouTube link is in my bio.
Do you want to hear Blake Lively's statement?
Yes, Blake Lively's statement.
She posted this on Instagram. Last week, I stood proudly alongside 19 organizations united in defending women's right to speak up for their safety. Like so many others, I felt the pain of a retaliatory lawsuit, including the manufactured shame that tries to break us. While the suit against me was defeated, so many don't have the resources to fight back. I'm more resolved than ever to continue to stand for every woman's right to have a voice in protecting themselves, including their safety, their integrity, their dignity, and their story. There are protections out there. Check out some of the incredible organizations below for resources and information. With love and gratitude for the many who stood by me, many of you I know, many of you I don't, but I will never stop appreciating or advocating for you.
Really, really nicely said. And there's a part in there that like strikes home for me, and a part of why I've been following this case in the first place. And it kind of slipped by me because my head's kind of rolling so quickly right now. Let me see if I can circle back to it.
I know you're lily padding a little.
Yeah, I am lily padding a little bit. But anyway, beautifully worded. Excited for everything that they have going forward. We're obviously going to still follow every bit of it.
Oh yeah.
And the evidence is still relevant.
Yeah, and what remains is most relevant to you and your history with Hollywood scandals and lawsuits, and that's the retaliation with the PR smear campaign. You
just reminded me of what it was that struck me, which is that I just hearing somebody say, look, I know that there's so many others. I have the good fortune of being able to be in a position to fight this and succeed because I have the resources. Her fucking legal team is so stupid badass.
Yeah.
So, it hits people like me who don't have the resources. I would defeat Leonardo DiCaprio easily.
I think so too.
And I would defeat Tobey Maguire easily.
Yeah.
Easily. I mean,
they never should have gotten away with it.
Never should have gotten away with it.
No. What they did is so clearly legally wrong.
The only reason that my movie is banned and why my life and my work has been suppressed is because there's no equal playing ground.
Yeah.
There's no equal footing. And what happened was that Justin Baldoni picked on the wrong victim. He picked on the wrong chick.
I don't know what he was thinking, this guy. Okay. So I have more for you.
More.
The Hollywood Reporter is reporting on this, saying, in a dramatic turn, a federal judge has tossed out Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer's entire $400 million defamation and extortion lawsuit against Blake Lively after determining that her allegations of sexual harassment on the set of It Ends With Us were legally protected. And so I was amazed. This was my first glimpse into how they're going to cope with the news on his side.
Yeah.
This guy goes, so everything that she made up and how she stole the movie from him and she just gets away with it? Disgusting.
Can you believe this?
Oh, she knows the judge. She has all the receipts. He has all the receipts and has evidence that she's lying. Like, they're just going to continue. This is because they're, who they appeal to. You need to see his evidence. She lied about everything.
By the way, it kind of makes sense because who they appeal to are this group, this faction of humanity that is devoid of reality. They don't use reality as a means to weigh anything they hear. Mm-hmm. They march to a specific beat, and they're kind of just like media zombies, is the way I would describe them. They're just drones for these media companies, and it kind of makes sense that they would try to appeal to them because he's a rap in the mainstream. Like, it's a rap for that dude in the mainstream. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Especially as it relates to getting anything made. No mainstream studio is going to work with Wayfarer. No way. It's never going to happen.
No, he tried to destroy the reputation of his star. Why would anybody want to put him at the helm of anything involving any successful
There's
people.
literal evidence that he began a campaign to harm Blake Lively's reputation during the promotion of the movie he owned, directed, and starred in.
Yeah.
And let me tell you how that can't be well received by any fucking studio.
Okay, and so I wanted to share this one with you too.
Yeah.
This is, I don't know if you guys remember, just a few months ago, there was Blake Lively had a opening for her film at South by Southwest, and there was like a lone protester who was like holding up a sign that said "Justice for Justin Baldoni," and she'd like screen printed a shirt or something that was all pro.
Well,
Baldoni.
he was surfing in Hawaii.
Yes. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. So she's a YouTuber. And she has been like, she even filed her own amicus brief and like sent it to the courts, but I don't think it's even arrived in the mail yet.
She was like, but wait, my brief.
No,
I spent weeks on that.
I know she was going to really try and crowdfund on that. It's just not going to go anywhere. Anyway, this is what she wrote about it today. Do you want to hear it?
I do. I just drank this ginger juice drink and it is so spicy. Go ahead.
Spicy.
I'm sweating. Like my wrists are sweating.
She said, "It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a plaintiff to win a defamation suit in our court system."
This is what everybody's saying. Now they're gonna say, "Oh, you can't." And
the courts they're
not wrong. Defamation, especially against a movie star, is practically impossible. The whole fucking reason why I was laughing in the face of Justin Baldoni's, allegations against Nice Pool was because the absurdity of it is laughable and epic.
She goes, "Looks like absolutely terrible news for Justin Baldoni and a giant win for Blake Lively. I told y'all a long time ago that in my years of following these Me Too cases, it had become clear to me that it's basically impossible to get justice for defamation in our court system. At the time, some of you chastised me for being so negative, but look at what always seems to happen. I'll defer to those with more legal insight."
Because I don't have any, so I'm absolutely sure this is a fraud.
But the judge flat out told them not to bother refiling on almost all of the claims.
Didn't say don't bother, saying you can't. There's a difference. It wasn't like don't bother. It's like it ain't going to happen. It's shut down. It's a wrap.
The court will not grant leave to amend the majority of the Wayfarer party's claims because amendments would be futile. The dismissal of the claims does not rest on technical pleading defects, and the Wayfarer parties have not made a showing that the complaint's defects can be cured. So what she goes on to say is there's the court of public opinion, and then there's God's court.
She said God's court?
Yes. And she said
like she fucking knows.
So she'll continue the fight to make sure that Blake Lively sees justice in the court of public opinion. Like they're not going to stop.
I find nothing more infuriating than somebody throwing God's court into my face. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean if you legitimately believe that somebody is like wrongdoing, then I guess that's some solace, but
it's not even about like belief in God. It's just like you don't fucking know anything about it. That's what bothers me about it. It's like they bring up this nonsense as if they've got some kind of like I don't know, like I don't know, whatever.
The reason it's so easy for me to eye roll about these people is because we read everything that Justin Baldoni showed us to read, and it's so clear. I don't know why they think that there's evidence that proves that she lied, other than his lawyer saying so. But all of the evidence was never supporting what he said. And I just don't have any grace for these people who'd like, it's just a reading comprehension problem at this point. I don't know, They're
fucked and they're going to get nailed. Terry's asking on TikTok, do you think Colleen Hoover will get the rights back to the sequel? I think she might. I think she definitely might now, because I'm sure she had some kind of clause in there that had to do with ethics clause, some kind of ethics clause. And the dismissal of this might give her everything she needs to be able to exercise on that clause. We'll see. Here's what I know is that it's going to come back one way or another. The question is whether or not he'll have to forfeit it or whether there'll be some kind of transaction. Because there's no way he's not going to want to hold on to it unless he's going to be spiteful, in which case she'd probably have a basis to sue because
they're not going to make it.
And there's probably a term on it. There's probably a term. I mean, he didn't get rights in perpetuity.
That is a really interesting question, though. I wonder what's going to happen with that.
It is a good question for sure.
Because it sort of hinges on whether he's going to like willingly give it back.
Right.
Does he even have it? Do we know that he has it? He has rights to those sequel?
I don't know. Yeah, he had them. He got both at the same time.
It's so weird. I wonder what's going to happen.
By the way, if you're joining us on TikTok, you can also check us out on YouTube. The link is in my bio. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Dale Wheatley. I wrote a movie and produced a movie called Don's Plum, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Tobey Maguire. That movie has ended in a 30+ long year dispute between us and them. And it got so ugly that Leo in 2019 called me a liar and a thief at the end of an interview I did for the New York Post. And I needed to find a way to respond that had some weight. And, I don't have millions of dollars for publicists and lawyers and whatnot. So I wrote the book behind me called Too Real Hollywood Memoir. And that, you can read that book, by the way, for free they have a 2-month trial on Kindle Unlimited right now. You can read it for free on Kindle Unlimited. And you'll probably finish it in a week, so you'd have like a whole 2 months to read a bunch of other books. So check it out if you like. Now back to the show. This was brought to you by Dale Wheatley's book.
I know, I do want to figure out how we do your ad segments. Because I think it'd be fun to figure it out. Okay, so last one I wanted to share with you is Zach Peter posted.
Zach Peter.
Yeah, he's the guy who I keep calling Sassy Dave Navarro.
I can't stand this guy.
He's the very first one.
I did one video.
Yes.
Rebutting or whatever, or just like this guy fucking.
He's the reason why we know about this case, because he made a video absolutely appalled that Blake Lively would take over the wardrobe. Yeah,
it's what got me going. Right
and
away.
I brought it to Dale. I was like, this sounds like bullshit. Is this bullshit?
And I lost my shit.
Made a video on it. Anyway, so his take on it is that this is an important lesson, that you can make false claims of SH against someone as long as you know how to protect yourself legally. His whole take is that it was legal maneuvering and that she found a loophole in order to get the motions to dismiss.
It's a very interesting thing that I was going to be interesting to see if he ends up in some trouble, because he's saying something that isn't proven. He's saying something that isn't true.
That's right.
He's saying that she's making false claims, and that's a definitive statement that is not true. Mm-hmm. There's nothing that proves that whatsoever. So it's going to be interesting if he's going to get a cease and desist at some point here, because obviously that's irresponsible of him. I mean, he doesn't give a shit, but
He said, Blake Lively may have won her motion to dismiss because of her strategic litigation privilege, but it's not because she's fighting for women.
See how they have to fire Brian Friedman now? Like, that's what
he got outlawed.
Because you're gonna have a bunch of people who are gonna be like, well, he could afford better lawyers. You're gonna actually hear people say this, even though they have an actual billionaire who had declared that he was willing to spend up to $100 million suing Blake Lively, which, by the way, he doesn't have to worry about that anymore.
I guess there are some real pitfalls to making your case the biggest, most top of mind case on social media, right? Because when you lose the case, everybody knows exactly who to blame.
I studied and even worked for Tony Robbins. He's a self-help guru if you don't know who he is. But one of the things he teaches is to make a big fat claim. You know what I'm saying? Like, so he would say, like, as a means to motivate yourself. Be like, walk up and say, if you work for a sales company, for example, and if, a big fat claim would be, I'm going to triple my sales this week, for example.
And you tell somebody.
No, you tell everybody. The whole point is that your big fat claim is that you tell everyone, I'm going to.
And so it keeps you accountable?
And you got to be held accountable to it. So it's like an actual tactic, but maybe it doesn't work so well in these situations.
When it's not up to you.
They just threw out this big fat claim that they were going to slap these lawsuits and make all this money. It's just an embarrassment. It does throw me though, because I'm going to go back to it. I'm going to mention it 4 more times before the night is out, at least. It just gives me hope. There's hope out there, and that's interesting that, Blake Lively said that about those of us who don't have the means and the wherewithal to fight for our rights, because I don't have the wherewithal to fight for my rights. I am beneath the sole of the boot. And so when you hear somebody not just acknowledge it, but when you hear a judge say, this is garbage, it gives you hope. Granted, it's like star versus star, so star power doesn't really apply.
On TikTok, Daisy May Mom says, did you see the footnote of the ruling that basically he said that Justin Baldoni's evidence read contrary to his claim?
Yeah.
I'm thrilled about that because I've been saying it for the whole time.
We've been saying it the whole time.
I found at least 3 times where it was like opposite day and I couldn't believe it.
Where the most classic example of that was when they were saying that that Blake Lively was holding the trailer hostage until she got her producing credit, which was just completely false.
Yeah.
She had arranged Taylor Swift's song for the piece.
No, it was absolutely false.
It was complete false, but it was in their lawsuit. Like they said it.
Yeah.
They made the claim, and then they put evidence to the contrary.
Yeah, I know.
Literally to the contrary. Where it was just like it was like are they trying to gaslight us in writing?
I need to read that. It's really great that he put that in the footnote.
Because it's like hard to do, isn't it? Like to gaslight us in writing when you put both the fact and the gaslight
like
in
within the same page. Like I didn't even have to forget about it before I turned the page. So Terry was the one that asked you about Colleen Hoover, whether she'll get the rights back to the sequel.
Yes.
And she continues, the guy is not worth but a few million, so how could he possibly prove he had lost $400 million of work?
Well, he is worth a lot more than that, actually. He's had a great deal of success. And now I say he's worth that more than that. Well, I know that they made $350 million in the box office, roughly.
He never even said what that number came from.
And I know...
They didn't...
Oh, no, that box office is reported.
No.
Oh.
A $400 million lawsuit.
Oh, yeah. It was the stupidest thing I ever heard in my life.
Chase is with us on TikTok.
What's up, Chase?
Said the whole moral clause is speculation about Colleen Hoover. So we don't know.
If that's why I use the word if. If she has one, it wouldn't be.
Baldoni didn't buy the sequel. I think it might have been just everybody's assumption that this movie
I read
was
that he
success
had,
and that he would make them.
You're sure he hadn't? No, I don't think that's correct. I believe he does.
I don't know what's true.
Well, if he has, let's just go with if he has the sequel, if he has the rights to the sequel, there may be an ethics or morality clause in there, and if there is, and he's violated it, then that might be one means to her getting it returned. But either way, he's not going to get it produced, and it's almost certainly got a ticking clock on it because absolutely her books are massive hits.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to sit on it for a lifetime unless
now.
they paid an exorbitant fee for it. What's that?
Especially now, everybody knows the name of the titles, It's huge now.
What's the next title? It starts with me.
It starts with us.
It started with them.
I think it's a prequel.
Meet my dog.
Chase is saying Blake just had good legal advice on how to go about her SH claims. It wasn't a maneuver. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, she got good legal counsel for sure.
What's so entertaining is that's how the Baldoni fans are twisting it. That she found a loophole and that it was shady how her lawyers went around it. And it's like, dude, if it's all legal and the judge is cool with it, then it's not a bad thing. It just means that they know how to be lawyers better than Justin Baldoni's do.
Yeah,
amazing.
Exactly.
Kate said, but you can't prove her allegation either. And this is true because that happens through the trial. So Blake Lively's allegation.
Her case was not dismissed.
Yes, her case will proceed. And so she's going to get to the thing about SH allegations. Usually the evidence comes through testimony, like witness testimony and anything else that, it usually comes through depositions,
discovery,
testimony at trial. So we were waiting for the trial to understand exactly what she has on that. That's not all documented stuff, and her lawyers are not trying to put everything out on social media like his lawyers are. So she could have all kinds of written proof, and we wouldn't know it because her lawyers are actually professionals.
Yeah. Almost certainly, it's going to come from testimony. There's, as far as whatever discovery there might be regarding things like documentation. So if there was an actual physical filing or digital filing that's traceable of any complaints, for example, that would certainly be admissible. If there were texts exchanged or if there were emails exchanged between other parties, for example, Blake, an executive over at Sony, could be an example. then that might become
Justin Baldoni is
discoverable.
He sends messages where he's apologizing for his conduct and says that he's going to improve.
These things.
So what is that about?
Well, those things will come in as in support of what is ultimately going to be he said, she said testimony and witness testimony.
Nancy said, I hope Blake Lively doesn't try to make an even bigger case against Justin Baldoni and escalate this. It's as escalated as it could be, but I wonder whether I don't know if she can amend anymore. But
no.
The retaliation continues, so I wonder if they're just compiling more and more evidence.
Well, now they've got to step very carefully. The whole game has changed.
Yeah.
They have nothing now. And now with Justin Baldoni's team and Baldoni himself has nothing. He is floating in the ocean. They can't even make
those allegations in court anymore, right?
Well, not only that, but everything he does now is extremely dangerous because he can't hide under a lawsuit anymore. There's no lawsuit protection. Everything he does now is going to be discoverable. It's going to be admissible potentially. It's at least it can make it to the judge now. Whereas before it was much easier to hide under the auspices of his action. His action is gone. His actions are gone. And now that those are gone, what he does and says is going to be held accountable in the same way that you and I might be held accountable if we were saying something that we might be liable for.
Yeah, now he's a defendant anymore. He's no longer a plaintiff.
He's got no plaintiff rights. He's got nothing like that. He's in a different position.
Chase on TikTok said, you have to love that they said that she didn't earn the producer credit, but she also hijacked the movie.
It's an impossibility. And it's, what's interesting about hijacking the movie is that they own it today.
I know.
They own the movie today.
Who hijacked it? You guys? It's
yours. Not only do they own the movie, but it literally made them $100 million. Listen, the movie did about $350 million. I'm telling you right now that they got the lion's share of that because Sony got their money up front. What I mean by that is that Sony puts up whatever money they're going to get, and they get it back on the return, and then they get their split after the expenses go out. So it was a $26 million budget. They likely spent about $30 million in P&A, that's prints and ads. That's $60 million that comes off the top. The split with exhibitors is about 50-50. So if it did $350 million, then $175 million went into the pot. Mm-hmm. About $60 million, but we'll just call it $75 million for the sake of our conversation, went to production and release, P&A, leaving $100 million that they got the lion's share of. So, and by the lion's share, in all likelihood, it was between 70 and 80%, because Sony would have already incorporated their profit in the $20 to $30 million P&A budget. And I actually just gave them $40 million. And of course, they're taking there would be $20 to $30 million profit off the top. Good deal for Sony. It would have been a better deal for Sony if they actually didn't have to be, like parents on this production.
I know.
Because the reason why I know they got the lion's share is because I understand, first of all, the structure. So I say I know they got the lion's share. The reason why I suspect they got the lion's share, I don't know anything. This is for entertainment purposes. All these things that, make me safe from whatever stupidity might lurk around corners. So I don't really know anything to be sure, but I suspect. Anyway, I've gone on enough about that.
On YouTube, in the chat, Stacey R said, "Oh please, the Baldoni supporters will just yell rigged."
Yeah.
Delicate says, "I hope Friedman gets disbarred."
He won't.
He won't.
He won't even get sanctioned. He just got sanctioned.
He's just made a bunch of money doing.
He just got sanctioned.
Making up stories.
When lawyers fuck up, this is what happens. They don't, he's not going to get disbarred. He hasn't done anything that's worthy of a disbar. The judge would have already written the bar or said he was going to, or whatever procedure is relevant or appropriate to that situation. But he already got sanctioned. His case got thrown out. I mean, what more can you do to fuck a guy's day up? Erica. Oh my God, the screaming on the phone. I wish I could just be just like, what the fuck do you mean? Every case I would be. It's just got to be like. I wonder if Friedman's like
they were all
Better
dismissed.
Call Saul not taking the fucking taking the calls.
He's like, I'm driving. I can't pick up the phone.
I can't pick up the phone. I get it. What a mess.
Erica showed up and said, "Hi guys, bad day for JB."
Fucking JB had a bad day,
Erica
Erica.
goes, "Let's go, Erica," and she did like the bunch of like a confetti poppers and also an emoji of like dabbing.
It's so great.
It's so great.
Well, I love it because we're seeing some folks that have been around for a while with us and who like are coming back, and we're like, oh, look at who's, because we've been, from the get go, as soon as I looked at the first filing, which was her. And then, of course, hearing about these ridiculous claims about wardrobe and other things, I immediately began to
that was our
suspect there was a
when
problem.
We first found out. I heard the news today and immediately thought of all of you guys. Erica said Blake was not the one to pull all this with.
Agreed. Yeah, they fucked with the wrong girl, man, for sure.
She's too principled,
dude, man. I wonder. Another thing I thought about was Taylor Swift. Like they're definitely. I wonder if they're like drinking champagne in separate places. Of course, Blake Lively doesn't drink alcohol, so I don't know if Taylor Swift does.
She probably has a recipe for a shrub.
She's got her mocktails, I'm sure.
Nadine said, "I was wondering if he would try and file any other lawsuits. I'm sure he'll see this for money."
Well, he can't file again in the federal court, so that's a wrap. That's a wrap. He's done. So the only thing he can do is try to take this to California. But I think they already waived. Like, I think they agreed upon. I think they have an agreement in place that puts him out. Like, he's done. It's a wrap. I don't think he can file any more lawsuits. I'll tell you that. I wonder what his reaction would be if like Freeman was like, "All right, so here's my plan. We'll file 6 more lawsuits
in Puerto Rico.
I'll hire 4 more satellite offices, and we'll you said 100 million, didn't you? We'll spend it all.
We'll really win this time."
It was like, what's his name? Who's the guy with the 100 million?
Steve Sarowitz.
Sarowitz is like, he's like, "Hey man, you said we're gonna spend 100 million." Sarowitz. Well, I had a joke lined up and I fucking took myself out.
Are you okay?
Yeah, not really. I'm really excited. I think we're all really excited, maybe.
Dale's ADDing today.
I'm ADDing.
Out of excitement. Stefan wants to know, how would you go about making the sequel? Would you recast?
Yes, I would recast for sure.
Nadine said the books are not that great, to be honest. Not sure the second movie with the same cast will work. The other guy from that movie is about to be in The Housemaid.
It was a stretch for Blake to do the first book.
Mm-hmm. She said, Nadine's answering Stefan, "I think that's the only way to salvage this mess, to be honest." Cosmic Urgency said, "Obviously it won't be the same cast. Someone has to be replaced, Baldoni or Blake. And if it's Baldoni making it, the rest of the cast is going to have to be replaced."
I think it's going to become. Blake Lively's directorial debut.
Oh, you think she? Well, no, because everybody's blaming her, or accusing her of stealing the
Nobody
movie.
cares. Nobody's going to care. So what?
The property.
Yeah, good. I hope she, dude.
She'll be like, "Sue me, whatever. I don't care."
Exactly, sue me, whatever. Or like, listen. I think she's going to make this transition, and I think she's going to be successful at it. And maybe this is the property she does it, or maybe it's not. I don't think this property is going to come out anytime soon. That's why I think there's a good chance she might either produce it or direct it, because I think she'll do 1 or 2 or even 3 movies before they're not going to get around to this one for a minute. I don't think. But then again, producers are fucking hungry dudes, bro.
Especially for sequels,
dude. I remember
because this one succeeded.
I remember that a friend of mine who was in Hollywood had a relative who, this is a crazy story, had a relative who went nuts and murdered his whole family. And the mother of my friend called him up and said, "You go get the rights." That's what the mother said to the person whose cousins and uncle and aunt were just brutally murdered. "You go get the rights," she said.
That's insane.
The day of the killings. It was on the news.
Okay, I don't know how do you have to be like raised?
So people just act fast
to
is the
just
point.
think instantly.
That's Hollywood. It's sick.
It is sick.
It made
That's
me
really sick.
As soon as it happened, I was like, wow. Holy fuck.
You got a brainworm, and it's called capitalism.
And they went. They went to the fucking funeral.
What did they do? Like bring
first
out
of all,
like
they
a
described
folder?
the most morbid thing because it was like 5 bodies and like series of smaller caskets for the kids because there was like 3 kids and 2 adults. And or maybe it was 4 kids. Like there were so many caskets. They were just like, it was so chilling. And then they literally went to one of the survivors and said, you know, we'd love to talk to you about the fucking rights. Yeah.
I'd go to jail if somebody approached me like that at a funeral. I would put myself in. I would react badly.
If somebody came to me,
crimes.
like if oh
I
my
would do
God,
a crime.
oh my God, yeah, yeah.
An intentional.
I'd be like, oh, Dale's on trial.
Intentional crime. 2nd degree, all the way. That's just not the way civilized people act. I can't believe that story.
Cosmic Urgency saying that everyone always yells rigged when they lose, so nothing new there. I don't. Well, do I?
You did, yeah.
Well, but it was rigged.
It was rigged. Yeah. Well, that was the only reasonable explanation.
That's the fucking problem, though. He's like, there's the fucking catch-22, right?
Well,
everyone always yells rigged.
So much is rigged, though.
Some of us got rigged. Some of our situations were rigged.
Right. It happens.
What's up, Stacy? Stacy, I finished the scenes yesterday. Stacy is hosting a book club for Too Real, a Hollywood memoir, and I put together a book club kit that has scenes and questions, and it has 3 new scenes that nobody's read yet. And I finished them yesterday. I just polished them up a little bit, did some editing. I got to remember that I anyway, I did some editing, just some brief stuff. You might want to read them over.
Oh, I should, huh? I should do that.
They're in good shape. It's exciting.
You didn't finish the story. Stacey R said, did they get the rights? Did they get the rights, Dale?
Did they get the rights? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
That's a good question. You're like, you left us hanging.
Cliffhanger. I don't know. I can't remember what happened. I remember there were 2 people that went. There was my friend and then another friend of ours who drove him. And the friend who drove him was just like creeped out by the whole thing. Of course. Super creeped out.
Jenna said that they should replace Justin Baldoni with Scott Bloom. Scott Bloom has fans in our group here.
Well, he's a good-looking fella, and he has a nice voice, and his brother's a good guitarist. Not Brian.
Oh, you know what? We need to spare a thought for Candace Owens because she has put so much into this.
Oh, the embarrassment! I thought about her because I was thinking about all the people who should feel some embarrassment out of this, and but then I'm like remembering who they are. Like they're the most. They make their living embarrassing themselves, and you know.
Yeah, like Kelly. What's her name?
Stacey saying, was it Artie's mom asking for the rights? I can see that. That's funny as hell.
What was that video Brian Friedman went on her show?
Yeah, I did a whole breakdown.
Megyn Kelly.
Do
you think she's going to do a segment on it? Miscarriage of justice.
Actually, I think she'll walk back on it because if you watch her interview, which I have, sadly, her interview, she's not like, she ends up being, towing the party lines.
Yeah.
But, she's like, oh, I mean, this sounds kind of interesting. And this sounds, so I wouldn't be surprised if she's like, wow, this didn't go well at all. And maybe it's because, hey, maybe this guy is a jerk off because she does that.
Yeah, she knows how to pivot.
She creates like little protections for herself. She puts up little. I mean, she did in this interview. I speak like I know her. Literally, the first time I ever saw an interview.
No, but you're right though. It's because the like Fox News ecosystem creates these people who like just operate in complete bad faith. They're just doing like.
And I think they build little
shows. They don't actually believe anything they're saying.
They just create little back roads.
Yeah.
So that when it goes wrong, they can be like, oh well, no, I said in the interview. They can play the little clips where they're like, no, read it right here, etc. So.
With us on TikTok is It Ends With Us bullshit. Said long time no see.
Yeah, what's up? Good to see you.
And a very happy dismissal day to you.
A happy dismissal day to you, indeed. Hope, yeah.
Your account just got a lot more clear,
Yeah.
A lot lighter.
I love that you kept that name the whole way through too. It's pretty awesome. It's absolutely.
It turns out the judge ruled it ends with us bullshit.
It ends with us bullshit. Had enough of that. Thank you for all the follows over on TikTok. I really appreciate you guys. And obviously, I love you guys over at YouTube. I don't think anyone over at YouTube has not liked, followed, or subscribed, or whatever you do over here. But if you haven't, please do.
It ends with us bullshit. Missed you guys. Happy dismissal day.
Yeah, it's a great dismissal day.
Leo Edis wants to know,
glad to see you, man.
Will you do more?
Back.
I'm sorry.
I was just talking with, it ends with us bullshit because it has been a minute, and I'm really glad to see their name and others who are showing up. It's really cool.
Leo
Missed you guys a lot. Huh? I'm sorry, Angela. Go ahead. I promise.
I'm waiting for a break, but there's no break.
I will shut the fuck up.
There's never a break.
I'm going to shut up.
Leo Edits wants to know.
Yes.
Will you do more acting soon? I would love to see that.
Oh, maybe. You never know. The opportunity might come my way. I wouldn't mind it if I got into the right situation, I did. Never mind. Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
On YouTube, Alyssa has a question.
I want to write more than anything right now. Yes. Alyssa, is that what you said?
Yes.
What?
What would you have done differently for your lawsuit? Because I read the book and you guys did all that you could. I felt. So now that you have more knowledge, what would you have done differently?
Well, the only thing I could have done was I would have searched high and low for a lawyer that would take me on.
Yeah. I
would have gotten my own representation. I think that was the only step I could have done to at least take some precautions. But and I don't know if the book does a good enough job at putting this on display, but class disparity it causes total injustice in our civil system, in our civil courts. You cannot, without a great deal of money, defend yourself. Angela is an amazing craftsperson. She can fucking knit and sew everything in sight. You would not believe it. Whether it's what do you call them, quilts, or whether it's whatever, scarves or mitts or hats or sweaters, whatever it is, she'll do it, and she can do it. And you follow that area of life. And she it was yesterday or something, but all these quilters and all these designers who are coming up with these patterns, and they're just stolen.
Oh, it's
and
constant.
You can't afford the process to litigate to protect your own material, your own.
Every single craft pattern maker channel that I follow is constantly posting about how they've been plagiarized, how some overseas company has stolen their work, how they're advertising it as if it's they'll use their same photographs and be just pilfering their money from the actual creators, and there's just no recourse for them. The
real problem is that when it's a small amount of money, and a small amount of money can literally be millions of dollars, because lawyers who take your work on contingency, they need a big pot to get. So there either has to be deep pockets that they can sue, meaning that whomever it was that stole from you has deep pockets, or they really succeeded off of what they stole from you, and so you can get into that money.
Right.
But if neither of those things are present, you're not going to get representation. You can't. The other thing the other mistake we made was the biggest mistake we made during the case. And thank you for reading the book, by the way, and bringing it up. That's really kind of you. But the biggest mistake we made was the Dateline situation. We should not have agreed to not do Dateline unless we settled.
That's right.
The mistake was that we agreed not to do. We agreed not to do Dateline just to have a meeting. What a fucking huge mistake that was. It kind of ruined everything, in my opinion. Anyway, I hope that answers your question. Thanks for it. It was a good one. If you're over on TikTok, you're welcome to come and check us out on YouTube if you want to see Angela's face, because it's really fabulous. But if you don't, and I understand why you might not, because my face is pretty cool. It's all right. It's got a nice little beard and stuff. I mean, I'm no Justin Baldoni, but.
Listen, I'm no Justin Baldoni. I mean, for one thing, I actually tell the truth.
Yeah, for starters, I don't sexually harass anybody. Fools they are. Are you doing comments?
No, I'm actually trying to find this. I'm trying to find this song. I want you to, when we sign off tonight, it would be fun if you signed off with this last song.
Song?
Yes, by Sly and the Family
I can't.
You can't play a song?
No.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They'll flag the whole thing for copyright.
Damn, that's a bummer.
Sly, for those of you who don't know, Sly Stone from Sly and the Family Stone
was Prince's favorite artist.
You can tell.
You can you can also if you look up like Prince's.
Sly had this way of he pushed out his notes vocally in ways that were just so like filled with like just all kinds of emotion, angst, or whatever. And Prince used to do it. There was like
Prince used to cover his songs all the time too. So
anyway,
there's a bunch of videos.
I love that he's a big fan of Sly because it correlates. You know, he was like a huge influence on Prince. It's really amazing. And so the Grammys tribute or whatever they do for him is definitely worth watching. Did Sly Stone, was he broke in the end? Did he? Yeah, there was a lot of.
He got screwed out of.
He got screwed by the labels, right? Bad.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Real bad. He lost every. He lost every song. He lost his entire catalog.
Anyway, I was going to ask you to play Sly and the Family Stone, the track "Just Like a Baby."
Oh, I can't stand this. I can't. Honestly,
but we can't play it, right? We're not allowed.
Go out and like when we leave the live or when you leave the live. Go and listen to just listen to what's it called?
Just Like a Baby.
Just Like a Baby. Just listen to it and turn it up. Like turn it up so you can hear every little crack in his vocals. It is such a special song. Did I tell you I was listening to Delicate? I did, right?
Oh yeah.
It was fun because I threw on Reputation the other day.
Taylor Swift.
And then Delicate came on and it's like, oh, I'll always think of Delicate whenever I listen to this song. It's pretty cool.
Cosmic Urgency wants to know, did you watch Pearl? We did not.
I have not yet. We're going to. Yet. That is... I honestly, I forgot about it. I got carried away with Balatro.
I'm sorry?
It's a card game.
Oh, you're playing
on my Steam Deck?
Yeah, Dale's been playing video games at night just to unwind.
And I got carried away with this game.
You've been working a lot.
I lost a day. I have been working a lot. Yeah.
And so I feel like sometimes movies are like more...
It's going to take a little bit of a break.
They require some focus. The way that we do it anyway. I don't watch movies passively. I like to really like get immersed if I can.
I wanted to throw in this thing that I know you've heard this before, but I got it today. I learned yesterday about Margaret Atwood, who based The Handmaid's Tale entirely on real historical events with every element of oppression in the book having already happened somewhere. And I just thought, like, you know, apart from the fact that like that's cool and all, it's and I'm going to get into this more deep. I'm writing this now for our channel to teach it, or to at least kind of just talk to it. But you know, when people say write what you know, I think people miss out on what that really means in terms of the way in which you're experiencing life. Like, it doesn't have to be what you know personally inside yourself, right? It can be the things that interest you, that you're witnessing, or the things that are pulling you in certain directions. And it was just refreshing to see Margaret Atwood just, you know, this book, you know, Handmaid's Tale is an interesting book because long before the series, somebody posted, you know, I follow a lot of, I'm a book nerd and I follow a lot of the book subs. And on one sub, somebody asked, what's an author who's going to like be remembered 100 years from now? And her name came up for The Handmaid's Tale. And The Handmaid's Tale is probably a book that'll last a while. And just to think about how she was able to like extract that from the world around her, seeing life cinematically in that way.
I also just really appreciate that she's really vocal about it, and she'll sort of like trap these interviewers in this question where, like, you know, she'll get interviewed by these, like, you know, mainly like wealthy white publications, the sort of magazines that write about books, you know?
Yeah. And
she'll be like, "Oh, right, because you guys don't know that these things that are happening in The Handmaid's Tale already exist and have been existing."
Sure. Well, it's always going to be the case anyway, right?
You guys have a very narrow worldview where you're protected and you're safe, and so you think everybody is. Not the case.
It's always, there's ignorance is at play at all times.
Yeah, but she's just doing such a good service by
it's great tension.
Opening all of our eyes to that.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, I don't know why.
Kira Singer's asking on TikTok.
Yes.
Reading the book.
Thank you.
It seems like the actual shady one was David Stepman.
Yeah. Well, this whole thing is for entertainment purposes only. And look, David Stepman was a problem. For sure. A big fucking problem. Yeah. Yeah, definitely shady. Man, dude, it's just so easy to get surrounded by shady people. You know?
Yeah, because if they're shady, you don't know that they're shady.
Recently, I had a friend who had this guy who contacted him through another connection, and this friend of mine's in Hollywood, and he's reasonably successful. This friend of mine, and so this person hooked him up because he might be this really rich guy, just a complete fucking scammer. This guy, like an absolute charlatan. He told this guy my friend told him all these lies about money and wealth and how he's going to fund him. And then he flew to Los Angeles to meet with him. And then all of a sudden everything was on my buddy's dime.
This is a really common con. I didn't realize this.
The whole trip was on his dime.
We recently watched a documentary called Con Mum. Because it's English people, right?
Yeah.
So they don't say mom, they say mum.
Mum.
Con Mum. And it was the same exact play where somebody enters your life somehow. And they
claim to be rich.
And they claim to be wealthy, but they just need you to loan them a little something and then they'll pay you back.
Because they're having this problem or that kind of problem.
They just made a huge purchase and so their accounts are a little crazy. They got to move things around. They can't have it.
Credit card fraud.
They can't do it like right now. So their cards are locked right now. So if you wouldn't mind just paying for this flight, this restaurant, this hotel, this whatever for now, then I'll get you back. And it's like, it's
so fucked up.
What's amazing is that these people will usually put themselves forward as these wealthy people who live this large life.
Yep.
And it turns out that they're spending what they earned from the last con before they
it's just
wrung those people dry, and so then they have to find somebody else.
A scam that's in a loop. Yeah. Dude, I was
sounds stressful.
RD and I were working together, and a friend of ours was working at a Lamborghini dealership.
Oh, I'm sure they see those guys
and
all the time.
This dude walks in and he claims that he inherited $100 million from his mom's Apple stock. Very believable story. So his mom apparently died, and this guy was probably in his early 50s, and he was driving this old dilapidated Ford Taurus, and he had a motley crew with him that was kind of it was it felt like the gang from Fat Albert, but they rolled up and we wined and dined them for weeks. So he had
a whole entourage, is what you're saying.
An entourage. Yeah. The guy made me cry, actually cry, because he was
And when he did, I bet he was oh, I so got this guy.
He made me actually physically cry, because what happened was there came a moment when I actually believed him. So I was totally skeptical, and it lasted for more than a week, maybe even 2 weeks, where I was totally skeptical. I was like, yeah, okay. He kept coming to the office going, "Hey, no mystery. We making history." And he would come in and he would bring all this energy, and he was going to bring all this money. We were going to get, of his $100 million, we were going to get $30 million to fund this whole plan that I'd been working on for an entire year. And he was just going to fund it all, this guy. And at one point I was like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? That you guys met at a dealership? What is going on here? And he said, I believe I'm a good judge of character. And when I met your friend, he said, I felt like he was a good dude. And then when I met you guys, and he looked at me and he pointed at me, these fucking cons, bro. He looked at me and he looked me in the eye. He was like, I knew you were a good person. I knew that you were the right kind of person to stand up for.
That is a red flag.
And I bought it all. And by the way, this is 2 weeks into us whining and dining him. We spent, I don't know, a couple $1,000s at least, whatever, in the 2 weeks that this guy grifted on us. Probably spent $2,000 on him. And he literally rolled up in a fucking old dilapidated Ford Taurus with "Ain't no mystery, we making history." And then finally we cornered his cousin who was one in his entourage, and we were like, what the fuck is actually going on? And he was like, "Ain't no money." His mom's still alive.
The reason why that's such a big red flag is because later on, when you guys start to feel the pressure and you are suspecting that you don't want to get yanked around by this dude anymore, he'll pull that out and he'll be like, you know what? I thought you were a good person.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, of course.
That's how they manipulate you.
This guy disappeared like fucking, really? The sun on the horizon, bro. He was gone, dude.
On to the next one.
On to the next one, man. He knew he got his cousin probably was like, yeah, they know. He was like, ain't no mystery. We out of here.
Well, good luck to
him. He gave me that line. I use that line like just to entertain myself. Especially if I'm having a hard day, I'll be like, "Ain't no mystery, we making history." I'll just like to cheer my own ass up.
No, it's great. You should use it.
It's a super funny. I'm definitely gonna use it
as a mantra.
100%.
Let's see. Okay, so Kiara Singer is continuing on TikTok. She said, "I think that's why it was so easy for Leo's friends to believe that you and RD were shady too, because you were aligned with Stutman, who they thought was shady.
So they
thought you were all in it together.
So because David Stutman is not as much in the public eye, I kind of stepped around his story a little bit in terms of like getting on the nitty gritty in terms of my true opinions on him, because I wasn't sure where it was going to stand from a litigation perspective. So I was like, well, I didn't have a lawyer to,
and still no, so you should watch out.
No, I'm covered. So I didn't have a lawyer, so I was like, well, how do I want to deal with David Stutman and David Stutman's status? And so what I did was I stepped around it. But let me be clear about this. The record, and by record I'm talking about like, I'm talking about like the actual like legal record of my case. For those of you looking, the record is very clear, and that is that David Stutman was not liked by anybody. Like, they did not put me and David Stutman on the same level at all. David Stutman was an outlier.
But Toby tried to.
Well, I don't agree with that.
When he was trying to defeat you, right? And like make you a bad person in Leo's eyes.
David Stutman wasn't a part of the conversation, really. I mean, because we were mostly aligned on David Stutman.
I know. What I'm saying is, in his depositions, when he was explaining about all of the shady things that you guys were doing, they would always lump in the shady things they thought that Stutman was doing in order to impugn your character, right? So it was convenient for them when they were trying to scapegoat you, that they had this other guy who did have a bad reputation. And so all they had to do was bring you closer together, you and Stutman, together in the conversation to make your reputation bad too. I,
again, don't think that they did that. And I don't think that, I just don't think that that's what happened. And I think RD would agree. Look.
I'm only just saying what I read in the depositions. That's all.
Well, I'm always talking about my experience in the actual event. And I can say unequivocally that, as far as like, look, what broke the story, what got everybody crazy was the things Jerry Metter said. That's what David Stutman, everybody agreed was a problem. But it wasn't until Jerry Metter said, at least we have a voice in the press, and that I repeated that to them, that the real trouble hit for us. But we used to talk shit about David Stutman, all of us together on a regular basis. Like on a regular basis, like on a daily basis.
Yeah. So you don't see why Toby would have exploited that?
Well, Toby certainly exploited the weakness that was David Stutman.
Right. In order to make his bad reputation rub off on you.
But it wasn't anything that David Stutman did that sent Leo over the deep end. Nothing. David Stutman wasn't even brought up in the conversation. Like the bashing, like the liposuction came up, and the idea that he was selling points, and some of the underlying idea that he was in some way something shady or whatever. That was mentioned, but superficially. What was truly the center of discussion was the so-called pitting of the press. That was that was what they sunk their teeth into, 100%. Everything else was superficial, comparative. Yeah, at all. Like, you fill up the straw that broke the camel's back, right? So yes, there were other, straws, but the one that broke the camel's back was certainly, the pitting of the press.
I was just reminded of like the catfishing scam. Where it must be so weird to be a celebrity and know that people are using your identity in order to trick people into romantic relationships.
Oh, yeah.
Like, did you hear that one recently where this lady came forward and she had been, like, she was being catfished by a Brad Pitt impersonator?
Yeah.
Who would send her pictures of, like, themselves in a hospital room or, like, whatever, some stock photo of somebody in a hospital room, and they would Photoshop Brad Pitt's face on it. And they'd be like, you have to help me. You have to send me money because Brad Pitt, I'm in the hospital. I need help.
I have a family member who's elderly who believed
they're always being targeted.
Who believed that they were in contact with Elon Musk.
Oh my God.
This happens
all the time.
They said to me, they were like, I'm in contact with Elon Musk,
So he's texting you?
Like on the phone. I'm like, I want to be like, no, you're not. I'd be like, but I was like, oh, really? Yeah, I mean, he doesn't outright say, like it's him. It's Elon Musk. But I told him I don't want to speak to him. I was like, well, that's good. It's a good choice. You made a good choice. Don't talk to Elon Musk. But like, let me tell you how far away my family member is from fucking Elon Musk. Mars is much closer to Elon Musk than my family member.
Oh my God. So Kristen Youngblood on TikTok is saying, my neighbor believes Elon wants to marry her.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's this whole thing. Well, so what I found out, it's so funny because there's a scam. There's an Elon Musk. There's literally like an army of these people who are saying they're Elon Musk. They bring Elon Musk accounts with fake check marks and they start working you, and they were like, hey, they work you on social media.
Because he's always online and he's always talking to people.
I got a message from Elon Musk on my TikTok account. I did. It's saying I'm Elon Musk, and I was like, oh, you.
Yeah, sure you are.
Well, you must have got referred to me by my family member.
User on TikTok is saying, be grateful you aren't in LA now, bro.
Well, I'm sorry that you guys are going through that, and I'm thinking about you every day, of course, and I hope that you're safe. I hope everyone stays safe. I'm kind of happy about it. I'm happy that there's. Change isn't going to come easy.
Yeah.
No, it's just not going to come easy. No one's going to give us anything. And by us, I mean the people who change doesn't come easy. And LA has on more than one occasion proved to be a battleground for change to come, or for change to be insisted upon, at least. It's not the first time. I moved to Los Angeles right after the Rodney King riots. I was there when LA was about to burst over O.J. Simpson. What didn't make the book, I had written it, but it didn't make the book, was that the whole scene between the two dudes in the telemarketing office who wear the one wears the
Let the Juice
Loose shirt. Those guys told me when the deliberations began, and there was an expected. They thought there could be a deliberations. As I recall, the jury deliberated. They took a break over the weekend, and then the following Monday or they may not have even broken over the weekend. They might have stayed through the weekend. The anticipation was they were gonna have a verdict by Monday, and the Friday that I was at work, that dude with the Juices Loose shirt, he was like, "Don't come to work, don't, because if it's not guilty, you don't want to be white and around here at all." He's like, "Do not come." And he was like he was being cool with me.
He was like, stay in your house.
No, he was straight up like he was like, I didn't get to explore my relationship with him. I ended up breaking in and having a really cool relationship with him. He was like, he was so cool with me. He was like, they were from South Central, and he was like, at one point he was like, "Man, I think you could actually make it in South Central. Like, I think you could survive."
Why would he tell you that?
Because he was like, because white people it's not easy for a white person to make it in South Central, in certain neighborhoods at least. And he was acting like I could make. I was like, I don't know what even that means, man. It was a really funny conversation. It made me very uncomfortable because I was like, what does that mean? And you know what he said when I said that? I said, what does that mean? He said, I hear a dozen gunshots a night. I hear them when I go to bed. I hear them when I wake up. I hear a dozen shots a day. And I still didn't know what that meant. I was saying that's all just white people getting shot in the street. Like, what are we talking about? That was a weird moment, but anyway, I digress.
He never explained. You don't have an answer?
Yeah, no, his response was that it's a very dangerous neighborhood. It's kind of like a warring neighborhood. And he's like, the only people who can survive are the people who can adapt to it. So his compliment to me was that I have the ability to adapt even to the circumstances he finds himself in, which are filled with, racial tension and, and so, I mean, we're literally having conversations about how I'm not supposed to come to work because he doesn't want to be in a situation where I'm going to be exposed to his anger, their anger.
Right.
Over another situation where a dirty cop, Mark Furman.
I just think that my perspective on this is like, obviously not very well informed because I've never lived in the places that you're talking about, and I don't know a bunch of people who have.
Yeah.
But my perspective is that one thing that you learn about LA is that the people who are from LA are very proud of having originated in this like paradise city, right? And they see themselves, yes, yeah, and they see themselves as the OGs, right, wherever they are. And that everybody else that comes to sort of exploit or follow their dreams in LA are outsiders.
It's kind of funny, isn't it?
So it's one of the reasons why Kendrick Lamar's message resonated so much with the locals, where he was like, they're not like us, because it's thematic. If you're from Los Angeles, this is part of your cultural background, right? Like you are one of the people who gets to claim ownership of a city that everybody wants to be a part of and to exist in and to exploit.
You get a piece of, yeah.
And which includes the culture that place creates, right? So it's a commodity that you give willingly because it's beautiful and you're creative and you want to share, but it's not something that belongs to anybody else. You, an Angelino, can own it. And so here in this situation that we have now, where there's a bunch of outsiders in the form of a police force coming in and tearing apart neighborhoods and families and just disrupting the natural, peaceful order of how these neighborhoods and communities have constructed themselves for themselves.
Yeah.
That is like a really big no-no in these neighborhoods explicitly. There's probably a bunch of other places where there's more of a population that is less prideful in this very specific way. But in these neighborhoods in Los Angeles, that is where those battles are fought. You don't get to be an outsider and come in and make trouble. If the trouble is going to be made, it's going to be made by the people that live there with each other, Yeah. And so I'm very proud of those neighborhoods for constantly testing these battle lines. And I think they're very brave, and I think they deserve support for it.
I agree.
But another thing that everybody has to recognize too, especially in this time where Saturn and Neptune are conjoined in Aries for like a year and a half. These are times where, especially in the news and in the media, everything's going to be distorted. We're going to have a really hard time discerning what's truth and what's fiction. Yeah,
diligence will be required for sure.
And so what they're already doing is making what's happening in these protests and these direct action movements in Los Angeles a bigger story than it is. So far, I've seen that the protests that are happening are in the neighborhood of Paramount, which is very small. Los Angeles is massive.
So Melrose?
No.
Did you say Paramount Studios?
No, Paramount. See?
Oh, Paramount
City is a town.
Yeah, no,
it's a neighborhood.
Well, no, I know, but when you say Paramount to me, I'm going 55 Melrose.
It's like they're just these neighborhood
I understand,
names.
Yeah.
They're not like
it's like off the 110 or whatever.
They're not cities, but they have
I know where Paramount,
their own
municipalities. Yeah, they're like little neighborhoods. Yeah. They're actual many of them are actual municipalities like Eagle Rock and
I don't know how it's organized.
It doesn't matter.
I forgot where I was going.
That was really wonderful though.
It's just like I think that
well, it makes sense because Paramount says delicate.
My point was that
80% Hispanic.
Los Angeles is massive. There are many, many people who were going about their day completely unaware that there's any conflict or anything going on. And so I just think that it's really important to recognize that what
Jerry Matters had a fabulous meeting.
Yeah.
Had absolutely fabulous meeting.
a lot of people in LA don't even know that this is happening. And so it's just
he knew it's happening, but it's not affecting him.
So the thing is like, okay, so the media is going to explode this into bigger proportions than it actually truthfully is. And that benefits the powers that be, because they want this to be a big fearsome event where we've lost control of the peaceful, like there's protests and, they're going to label the side of they're going to label the people who are protecting their neighborhood as the aggressors. And of course they want to make it a big deal and make everybody feel like they have to do some sort of military action to restore peace. Right.
Yeah.
So that benefits them, but it also benefits the protesters, because this is something that people should see as an example of what communities are capable of doing, where they really give hell to the people who are trying to intrude and cause trouble. And so what's really interesting is that on both sides, having it blown out of proportion actually benefits them both in different ways. The last thing I want to say is that even in a big town like Los Angeles, it's important to recognize that the police are much, the police and the state forces are much more equipped to handle a single protest or a single direct action by 10,000 people. Okay, like a single.
As many as 10,000?
Yeah, like just for the analogy that I'm making, that if you get 10,000 people protesting and causing trouble or whatever, they have a hard time containing, the police are capable of handling that group. But if you have 10 groups spread out of 1,000 each, they cannot control them.
Yeah,
they can't contain it. They can't control it.
Yeah.
That is, they're overpowered by the numbers of people. They can't spread out.
It's an epidemic.
So it's just, in these current times where we're actually having to figure out what urban warfare looks like, warfare, obviously is a very flexible word that I'm using. But when you have a military force who's trying to create conflict with regular citizens who are trying to protect their neighborhood, it's super important to know that strategically we do have options. And so I think that a place like Los Angeles is a really great testing ground, and we should be watching them with admiration for showing how little scrappy groups of people that are spread out can actually have a really great influence on keeping their communities safer from these militarized forces. I feel so inadequate talking about any of this stuff because I'm just an observer. But I think it's really awesome what's happening, and I don't think anybody should be afraid of it.
Well, it's dangerous, it's difficult, it's sad, but it's a part of what it means to take it back. There's also people aren't necessarily aware of well, I don't want to get into too much of it, because again, we try to avoid politics as being any kind of centerpiece for our lives, because it gives me ulcers. It just fucking gives me ulcers. So I'd rather talk about things that we can align with in terms of principles, morals, values, whatever.
I know.
Without having to bring up these
I find it tedious
assholes.
to talk about politics, but I do always enjoy talking about the class struggle.
And I do too.
Enjoy talking about we have to recognize
it's a part of what I'm living with every day.
We have to recognize what boot is on our neck.
Yeah, I live with it. I've been living with one in a more direct way than most people. Most people, the boots that they feel are the boots of their bosses, or of more on a mundane level.
That's right.
As opposed to me, who I literally have big giant people in a totally different class of society suppressing and oppressing my work and my personality and doing all this stuff. So that's a part of my existence. I can't escape it. It's a part of my identity. They made it a part of my identity. But
the reason why it's not just we don't talk about politics is because if you're a person who really, if you prioritize solidarity as a personal value,
yes,
then you can't not talk about these sorts of things.
No.
There's a bunch of protesters who are doing the hard work that I'm not capable of doing, and I admire them for it. And all of their successes benefit me directly. So it's just you got to call it out when it's happening. It's fucking awesome.
Hell yeah. Look, it's a funny thing because one of the things that have been, people were shouting at from Europe, and especially from France and these kinds of places, they were shouting out during all these times where there's these outpouring of Americans saying that they want change or that they don't like what's going on. And there's always people, well, get in the streets then, man. Get in the streets. Like there's this call from other people.
Oh, it's easy for the French to say they have healthcare.
Well, you know how they got it? Yeah. They didn't get it because somebody woke up and went, you know what? We should do the right thing.
No, they weren't like,
they took it. Yeah. They took it just like they took it in Canada, just like they took it in the UK. They took it.
Yeah.
And America will never have healthcare until they take it, because absolutely fucking nobody will ever give it to you ever. You know, I've been sick for a decade. I don't know what's wrong with me. You know, I'm just hoping it's not going to kill me. So far, I've lived a decade with my illnesses. I don't know what they are.
You're going to make everybody worry, Dale.
Nobody wants to help me.
You don't have to worry, everybody.
God save the king. That's all I got to say.
Dale's doing great.
God save the king.
You know what was really funny part of this conversation is people were like, I totally thought that like all these like right-winger like gun nuts who were like, you know, chomping at the bit to like, you know, fight government tyranny would be like a little bit more active right now. But all that they keep doing is just fantasizing about them doing the tyranny, you know? Like
I don't care who,
like they don't want to like get the boot off their neck. They want to be the one wearing the boot, you know?
The one thing I have take solace in when it comes to all this stuff with the U.S., something I believe in very strongly about this country and about the people in this country, because I truly do love Americans. I think Americans are some of the most fascinatingly brilliant human beings.
Americans are fun. It's true.
They're just fucking great. Like I remember when TikTok was going through the ban, and like there was some like amazingly hilarious videos. Like there was this like British chick who showed up. She was like, "Guys, we need to talk about this because in 24 hours, Americans are going to be gone. This fucking place will be boring."
No, it's true.
It's like, who's going to be self-deprecating? Us? No. Like, you know, it was just brilliant. But anyway, I've said and I believe that what I love about America and what most people love about America and what has been admired about America for decade after decade is what will rise to the occasion, but it's not going to just show up until it absolutely must, because it's not gonna be easy. It's gonna be dramatic. Do you know what I mean? So it's not just gonna happen. Like when America needs to take itself back, like it did in the 19th century. Do you know what I mean? It will. It will. I don't believe, you know, people are like, oh, the end of this and the end of that, and I don't believe it's the end. I believe that there might be people trying to create, you know, a change for something that might be considered the end. But I believe that the heart and soul of this country will take what belongs to it back. But I don't know, you know, I when I thought more about it, I think that generally speaking, people don't believe it's been taken from them. There might be like people, you know, like when you look at like the tug of war, you know, people be pulling, but it's right. It's not, you know, it's not Squid Games, right? You're not going to fall off and die. That's not what
we have a real problem. I think any like society that's like generally very comfortable has a real problem with normalcy bias. Right. Where you just like assume that everything's going to be normal. Everything's going to go back to normal, even if it's been destabilized. You're like, okay, well, this is temporary. It's like anytime that our power goes out because it's a storm or something, we're like, oh, okay, we just have to wait a few hours. It'll come back on.
Right.
That's normalcy bias, right?
Right.
We have had the experience of living in relative comfort for so long that you just assume it's going to continue.
It's so normal that like the power goes out and within a couple of hours we're like, well, what the fuck is going on? Yeah,
but it's only then that we even question it because we're riding on that normalcy bias all the way until we're like, it's still dark.
Yeah.
Well, so eventually, you know, people have to wake up from that. Like eventually you're like, oh, it's almost bedtime and the power's not on. Like, are they going to get to this?
Right.
Eventually somebody's going to be
now you're on your phone and
somebody's going to be like, oh, wait, things haven't been normal for a long time. And I'm just starting now to notice.
Right.
And so I think that it just takes a lot. It takes a kind of like a big
I think it's more like
rattling to get people shaken from that dream.
I feel like it's more like people are like, keep fucking with me, keep fucking. Like, that's what I feel like. That's where I feel we're at. We're at, like, in terms of America.
Well, there's definitely those kinds of people. There's definitely those people who are, like, the true, like, G.I. Joe types.
Ooh, we just got a book recommendation from Delicate. Yeah, go ahead.
Who, like, absolutely are ready to just pounce at the opportunity to be a hero. You know what I mean? And I'm actually wondering what's up with those guys. Because we've been needing them
right
for a little while.
I'm not sick, Leo edits. I mean, I'm not well, but I'm not like sick to the point where it's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cause any alarm there. It seems almost self-serving to say that.
Dale's like, the only diagnosis he's gotten is a chronic inflammation, which is just basically like...
Well, it's bad. It's a pre-cancer kind of problem.
No, I know, but it's like basically just like pesky symptoms that are just like not...
Chronic as fuck, though.
Like sometimes you'll wake up and you're like, oh, today's a headache day. Or like other times...
I don't want to be the guy who's fucking graying in the face and being like, let me tell you about my ailments today. You know what I mean? I've just had a rough few years just because... Actually, I think it's because... Truly, I think I'm allergic to the South. I think
we moved here and you started getting sick. You might be allergic.
I think
to,
there's like I think
could be
the,
like just
the
environmental
pollen.
allergies.
It could be like I'm just saying like not the South politically or I'm saying like the
region.
air.
Yeah.
The fucking air. I've my skin like if I don't wash my face twice a day, it scars. I don't know. It's like my pores clog up. It's insane.
A user named Shermy983 is with us on TikTok. Said, I love this conversation. Thank you.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
That's great.
Well, look, man, I love what's happening, and I'm afraid for LA and my friends in LA, and I think about you guys, and I hope that everybody's going to be okay. But I'm also proud of the Angelinos who are rising up. I saw this great video. There were these black officers for the National Guard, and they were confronting the protesters, and it was this brown protester guy, right? And he was like, man, he was just telling the guy the story, the black dude. He was like, dude, this is just white supremacy, bro. That's all we're up here against. They're separating the children from the parents. That's what they did to the slavery. And it was like I'm getting hairs on my arms are standing up because this is like this brown dude who's like fighting for this immigration, right? Because this is all over ICE.
This is another thing too.
And he's telling this black dude, and this black dude was like trying to back people up, and he laid off it, bro.
No, I know, but
the conversation started.
This
it was
has been
wild,
a really
man.
interesting tactic by the protesters who've been just doing like this like little psychological, rearrange on a lot of these. A lot of police officers are working class people who got a good job with a pension, and they became cops. But a lot of them, because of the population and of the demographics of Los Angeles, a lot of them are brown people and black people.
Yeah. Who
are now holding the line against these protesters, and they're holding the line against protesters that are basically their own community,
fighting for the things that are ultimately against them, opposing forces against them.
Well,
also.
So a lot of the best work of these protesters is just talking to these cops and trying to and helping to convince them to drop the line.
Yeah,
like, who really are you fighting for?
I love
this
it.
Moment.
Well, so it was the conversation.
Where's your solidarity?
The conversation I witnessed was so cool because there's this one guy who was like, dude, I'm fighting for the thing that you should be fighting for too. This isn't about politics. This isn't about who you voted for. This is about taking children away from their parents. This is about racism in America, and this is going all the way up to the White House, and something's got to stop. Well, right next to him was this other black dude. So he was this brown dude, right? And this black dude, also on the protesting side, he was becoming belligerent toward the National Guard. And the brown dude's like, no. And it was what was so interesting was it was like this Latino man was doing such a great job at aligning. Like one of the things I learned back in the day when I was like learning with Anthony Robbins was this technique called align and redirect. And it's a really smart strategy where you're like, I understand how you feel. And then once you've created where you've created an establishment where that understanding can be trusted, you can start redirecting it to a place. And so,
when you find a common middle ground,
so this guy's brilliant, man. Like in the middle of this fucking tension, he's finding that alignment, and it was truly inspirational, and it was like cinematic as fuck.
There's also a lot of people who are like, look at how you're a tool for these, for the state, right? Like they don't care about you.
No.
Like if they
don't care.
If you died here today, you'd just be replaced tomorrow.
They sent you to do it. They sent you to do it. If you die here today, it's because they sent you to die.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're just following orders? Why?
And they did that, by the way, while they sat on fucking comfy chairs with their big deep desks,
right,
and all of their assistants. So that they can their 8-hour workday turns into a 70-hour workday because they have a staff to execute on all of the things that disenfranchise you every day? All right, Justin Baldoni, what's he gonna do?
Guilty Angel doesn't like our stories. Guilty Angel said, "I like the Leo and Don's Plum stories."
I know you do. I know we took it a little long. I told some good Don's Plum stories today, I thought, or well, at least Hollywood, like personal Hollywood stories. I thought, no. Hey man, before we get on to Leo, before we close up, a quick recap on Karen Reed trial. She's going to win her case. I just don't know how she's not going to win her case. But by the way, the judge to me just seems completely biased in this case. I can't even believe some of the rulings that are coming out of her mouth. That just don't make any sense to me. Now, I'm a layman, and so it's easy for me to maybe be misled by my own
the judge
ignorance. But yeah, but I can't like some of the rulings that she went about today is regarding this witness. She wouldn't recognize this witness that's on the stand right now, an elderly woman whose name escapes me. Doesn't matter. LaGuardia, I don't know what her name is, the airport, but she was accepted and recognized by a federal court as a dog bite witness.
She's a medical examiner.
She's a medical examiner, but she has a slew of other. She's also a forensic specialist, and as a sub practice. Anyway, I mean, just a highly qualified. The defense, the prosecution had a dude up there still trying to get his fucking bachelor's degree after 20 years, and he's qualified as an expert. This woman literally said that she had herself conducted at least 50 autopsies where dog bites were involved, and supervised an additional 75. And here's what's weird. Let me get this up, because this is what's weird. Early in the trial, and this is what gets me pissed off. Early in the day, they talked a little bit about this voir dire that was going to come up, right? And the judge said to Jackson about the witness, if she's going to show up and say that she has autopsied 5 dog bite victims in her career, I'm not going to let her be an expert. That's what she said. You can go back and look if you want. Earlier in the day, those are the words she used to Jackson. Jackson, who, by the way, that's from whom she got the information. Jackson himself thought that's how many she had. She takes the stand in the voir dire. For those of you who don't know what a voir dire is, it's where they put a witness on the stand and they try to, without the presence of the jury, to try and like substantiate the validity of the witness and what she's testifying to as an expert. And the judge turns, when it's the judge's turn to ask questions, and says to the witness, how many fucking cases have you done? And she told the judge, not 5, but 50. She told the judge that not just 50, but she also supervised the autopsies of at least 75 additional dog bite victims. And the judge would not qualify her as a dog bite expert. I mean, I don't know how many fucking people make it to the the coroner's office on dog bites. But it's not a lot. It's not a fucking lot.
True.
There's not, like, I don't know how many you can expect before you can make somebody an expert in it. But it sounds to me like somebody who's looking at 125 cases at the mortuary level is probably somebody, and granted, they weren't all people who expired by dog bites or from the
No, I know,
injuries.
but it's probably a lot more when you consider that police dogs are used to trap suspects and then the cops end up killing them.
So it's a wild situation to me. I also, like, anecdotally and, like, you know, without anything empirical, but I just feel like objection after objection, she allows the prosecution to keep going down whatever paths, whatever the Commonwealth wants to go, and then when it comes to the plaintiff, I don't think they're getting the same shake. And it's anecdotal. I'm not sitting there like keeping a chart.
I agree with you. Erica said today was a terrible day for the judge. Created multiple appellate issues just today.
I couldn't believe it. Like, the number of them it's outstanding. And I think that the latest one, and this is the one that's the wildest. So they have an expert, a guy by the name of, was it Wolf? Was the expert Wolf? It was. So Wolf, who is with ARCA, he's a accident reconstruction engineer, completely recognized nationwide, if not internationally, testifies all the time, so on and so forth, right? He did all these extraordinary experiments where they used a crash test dummy and actually crashed up a car to show the validity or invalidity of an arm striking the lens of this particular Lexus model and shattering it in the way that the prosecution claims. Really amazing witness to hear. Somewhat handsome and had a really nice voice also. So there was a lot of bonuses going along with it. I like the guy though, didn't you?
Yeah, I think the jury did too.
So at one point in cross, Brennan says to the witness, to Wolf, he says, he shows a picture of the hoodie where the sleeve of the arm is damaged.
The hoodie that the victim was wearing.
Right. From the crash test dummy, right? Where the crash test dummy got struck, it slid around on the ground, and the road rash caused the fabric to become torn, and there were holes visible in the photograph. And he showed that to the witness, right? Well, eventually, so the witness goes out through all these explanations talking about road rash, right? And how, there would be damage all over the body. Well, then Brennan literally shows a picture to the witness that has holes on the back of the hoodie that O'Keefe was wearing at the time, and said, "Well, what about these? Aren't these holes?"
This is brand new evidence.
This is brand new evidence.
No, the jury hadn't heard. Nobody had gone over this before, and the attempt was to convince the jury that he did get these holes from road rash because he was struck by Karen Reed's car.
Yes, and that the holes would be consistent, or at least somewhat consistent, with the ones that appear on the clothing of the subject.
Right, so the jury heard that.
Yeah.
But Brennan knew when he introduced that to create that image in the jury's mind.
Right.
He knew exactly how those holes were created.
He fucking did, because they photographed.
I know it.
He knew it was a.
He knew that those holes that he showed as if they were evidence of a car accident. He knows that those holes.
And the witness didn't know.
Dale.
Sorry.
He knows that those holes were created by his criminologist in the laboratory.
Yes.
When they sampled pieces of that hoodie for testing,
looking for fragments and whatever else.
And so the defense attorneys were like, "Well, we have to have a mistrial because the jury has just heard false explanation." Like it's just.
It was completely misleading.
Misleading.
It was completely misleading
because there's no way that he doesn't know what those holes were, and so Brennan had to admit, "I've made a mistake," in the way that he asked that question. It's like
he didn't though. But what happened was he made it to the judge outside the presence of the jury. So after Alessi goes up and smacks the podium and
for a mistrial.
For the mistrial. He puts these gloves on. It was super dramatic. He puts these gloves on, and he's like standing there looking like what's his name from American Psycho. Anyway, what's his name? Patrick
Bateman.
Patrick Bateman. He looked like Patrick Bateman. Like in my mind, I was like, oh my god, he's doing his best Patrick Bateman right now. He's like fantasizing a murder. Anyway, it's so random. So anyway. After so Alessi's up there and he's making this impassioned plea to like, hey, this guy literally like he knows this is his evidence, so on and so forth.
And all that the jury hears is the judge saying, hey, just disregard that. And it wasn't forceful enough.
Before that though, this is what gets weird for me, is that before that they're making a big deal out of it, and the judge is going to like, I'm not going to grant your motion for mistrial, but I will admonish this in the following manner. And there was supposed to be like 3 or 4 things that actually happened. One of them included that the judge was supposed to say that it was improper line of questioning by Brennan to the witness that she said what she was going to say to the jury in the deal that they struck prior to outside the presence of the jury.
And so when the jury came in, she didn't say anything.
She gave the most flattest, like, "Hey guys, this was she." All she said was the holes were created by Dr. blah 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 of the examiner's office at the behest of the Commonwealth, and all the testimony should be stricken, and you should not consider that when you're deliberating. That was all she did.
Why did she? It's like she misled them. It's crazy.
It really is. I think it's a massive hole for. I think today they put a big giant hole for appeal.
In the beginning of tomorrow, they're going to have a hearing on how to modify the jury instructions.
Yeah, because I can't figure out if
because the defense was like, yeah, that wasn't enough to the judge, so they're going to talk about it tomorrow.
It was so absolutely the opposite of what the judge said she was going to do. She had like 3 or 4 things that There was going to be also the introduction of evidence, which I'm sure is still going to happen, but there was going to be the introduction of evidence, which is the actual photographs taken by the fucking Commonwealth before those swatches were removed from the sweater in the first place.
To prove where those holes came from.
It's already marked into evidence by this photograph is already in evidence and marked by the fucking prosecution.
Okay.
Infuriating.
So, in conclusion, I think it's really funny that everybody's helping us out in the chat with this witness, Wolf.
Yes.
They're calling him Crash Daddy. Dr. Dimples.
Dr. Dimples. He's charming. He's got a he's got a square jaw.
I know. He looks like Clark Kent.
He's got deep. He's that guy that, like, for me, where I was like, I would go to a family affair and he's the guy that everyone's like, yeah, he's killing it. Really? Oh yeah, he's working at this like engineering firm. No kidding. Yeah, dude. Did you know that he got his degree 1 year sooner than everybody else? Did he? You know, he's like that guy where I'm just like, and meanwhile I'm just like drinking Manhattans to try to like compensate for my absolute inadequacy as a human.
Erica said Brennan is in defense attorney mode and he's just throwing stuff out there, and that's just not how the prosecution should work.
Holy fuck! Is it I've never seen a mess.
Really
I would have never imagined that they would be this incompetent. It's practically laughable. If a jury walks away convicting her of anything, I will just be jaw dropped.
I know.
I agree. I won't be able to. By the way, you guys got to check out the thumbnail on YouTube. I'm really proud of my thumbnail today.
You got to change it tomorrow.
I made a good thumbnail. Thumbnail sucked.
Shall we?
Had a really fun time with you guys tonight.
I did too.
Congratulations.
It was so great to I saw the headline earlier and I immediately thought of everybody that joins us here today. And I was like, I can't wait to join the party. Because it was just a big day of celebration that we don't have to hear any of this bullshit anymore. And I have noticed that the people who used to be so rabid in defense of Baldoni in our comment section.
Where are they?
They're not even I think that
the fucking halls are empty.
I know.
The halls are empty.
I think the payments to the bot farm have ceased.
They have ceased. That's the other thing.
That's what
I love what you're saying here, because this is the other thing. The money flows is going to stop now.
That's right.
Especially because now there's going to be liability issues far greater than they had because they were able to hide underneath the
auspices. It's going to be a lot more peaceful on the internet.
It's a bad scene. Listen, man. Before we go, I just want to say it one more time, man. I'm so thrilled. I'm so thrilled for truth right now, because that's what this is about. This is about the truth, man, and this is why we even bother looking at this stuff. But this stuff is, this is about the truth. This is about like not letting people get away with the things that they're not supposed to be getting away with. And harassment in the workplace is one of them. Women should be allowed to go to work and feel safe. And a woman should also be allowed to go to work. Anybody, but especially a woman, should be able to go to work. And when something happens, they should feel confident, comfortable. And feel as though, because this idea of you're innocent until proven guilty is a matter for the courts. It's not a matter for the workplace. It's not a matter for the home, for the domestic home. That's not where it's a matter. We know what's going on. We can see it with our eyes. We know when abuse is happening. And when somebody files a complaint at a place of employment, it shouldn't go into an HR department that protects the fucking perpetrators. It should be going into an HR department that is there to protect the employees and the rules that balance a safe place to work. And today, Lyman stood up for that, and he stood up against billionaires making a mockery of the courts for their own personal fucking agendas. And so today is a day to celebrate. It's got nothing to do with Blake Lively. It's got nothing to do with fucking like what team you're on. We can celebrate today that truth is taking a step forward in a civil litigation, at least. And that gives me hope. It makes me feel a little lighter today.
On TikTok, It Ends With Us Bullshit said, so glad you two are doing all this.
We're having fun, and we're really glad to be sharing our time with you.
I've had a blast. I'm actually kind of sad it's over so that we don't get to call him a liar and an idiot anymore.
Well, it's not over. There's still going to be a trial, and we're going to dig in deep.
No, I know, but
because now it's going to get all proven.
His claims were so preposterous that they were really entertaining for me.
I know it was. It was like kind of watching like a shit show, but look,
like, oh, she took over the wardrobe of your movie.
As entertaining as it is, I don't want the judicial system to be a shit show. I want it to be an actual place where justice can prevail.
Well, you're being very adult about it, Dale. I'm going to have a little pity party for all of the jokes I didn't get to make.
Praise truth, because here it comes, man. Things are going to get ugly for this cat. I don't know. He's got a bad way forward now, man, because he's got skeletons and they're everywhere.
That's right.
And now she's going to get access to them and wait for these truths to come out. We're going to cover every fucking minute of it because I love it. I want it for my own life. Yeah. So I get to live in a little vicarious like experience. I get to like, yay, Blake Lively. And then I go into my dilapidated kitchen and make more porridge. I fucking love you guys. Thanks for hanging out. Really had a great time tonight. We will be back tomorrow, of course. Yeah, we'll see you then. Good night, Angela.
Good night, Dale.
Good night, you guys.